All right. Well, I'd like to welcome you to the webinar. And first of all, I'd love to get a little bit of your story, how you ended up from being a policewoman to a realtor. So tell me, how did you start this journey down this path?
Basically, when after having 2 children of my own, I was working in the child abuse division of the Birmingham Police Department, and I realized that it wasn't for me anymore after 10 years. I got out of it, and after staying home 6 weeks, I realized I couldn't stay at home, and I started trying to choose a career that would suit me, either through a personal business or something, and I developed a need or a want or a drive to go to real estate school, and that's pretty much how it started. And probably within 6 months after leaving the police department, I found real estate, and I had no family or anybody like that in it. I had no knowledge of what to expect, and so I was pretty much the greenhorn of the office.
So when you were going through licensing school, what were your expectations about real estate?
I really didn't have any. What I wanted to do was to be able to have time off, to stay at home with the kids on occasion, and to make money, hoping to maybe replace what I earned as a police officer after I spent the expenses of the startup business.
Okay. So once you started selling real estate, tell me, what was the biggest surprise that you found out about being a realtor?
That with the first year, I didn't have the tools and the knowledge and the systems to allow me that time I thought I was going to have to stay at home with the kids. I pretty much worked from 7:30 after I got the kids either to daycare or on the school bus, and would come home at 6:30 or 7 at night and probably do 2 or 3 more hours in front of the computer. At that time, 14 years ago, there wasn't a lot of technology on the computers to do, so I had to try to make up what I wanted to put out in front of my clients.
So you ended up being shocked at how much you were working?
Oh, yeah. I used to complain as a police officer for having to work 2 or 3 hours over on a shift, and in my first year of real estate, I would definitely put in more than 10 or 12 hours a day, sometimes 6 or 7 days a week.
And I assume you were making lots of money that year?
For for a first-year real estate agent, I probably didn't do what other people called bad, but after the cost of expenses, it looked pretty gross, and that wasn't my income. But it was one of those things that, because I didn't have anything to compare to, I thought I was doing okay, until my husband started complaining about the hours I was putting in for the money coming in and the expense going out. And then I lucked across a 1-hour seminar in our office. It was a wonderful gentleman from Hobbs came to do a presentation, and that was a turning point for me.
So when you say somebody came in, and what was the actual turning point? I mean, how would you describe that?
It was like a light bulb switched on. It was like I had the opportunity to be purposeful with my business and not just shoot from the hip. Sometimes I just felt like I didn't know how to organize things or where things were going to come from, or I had support of the broker's typical knowledge, but I didn't have ideas of what the real estate business was about, where prospecting happened and where follow-up and lead generation, and I knew nothing about personal branding for that matter. So when this gentleman came in and he gave a 1-hour presentation, I was like, I'm all over it. I was used to structure and accountability coming from 10 years of law enforcement, and I've always been a hard worker, so I wanted to be more purposeful with that work.
So from that presentation, you ended up going to one of the Marketing Mastery Gateway seminars, and what do you think changed in your real estate career from that?
Really, the first day of the Gateway, it was so much eye-opening material and so much excitement. As a new agent, I was a first-year real estate agent, and it was like I was starting to connect the dots to come together for me. I was with my family, actually. They took spring break with me and went to I believe it was Durham, North Carolina, is where the gateway was that year. And it was exciting to be out of state, out of pocket for a little while. And I'd come back to the hotel room out in breaks, and I would try to tell David, who was a police officer at the time and had not been through real estate school yet and only saw the frustrations of my first year, to see my excitement. He was excited too, and he was somewhat of a damper at the same time. And that he was like, okay, Peggy, that's great, but how much is it? So I was like, don't worry about that. Just let me get the education first, and we'd figure it out as we went along. So the turning point was really probably day 2 of my gateway. And we got some books, and we got materials, and we saw systems and letters, and oh my gosh, something was actually going to come together easily instead of reinventing the wheel every single day I got up.
So since then, you built this incredible brand in Birmingham. And tell us, why do you think branding is so important? And sort of fast forward, give us a little overview of what has happened to you in the last, 10, 15 years.
Goodness, I don't know how to put 10, 15 years in a nutshell, but I basically took baby steps. The first year, I got what was called the baby package. I don't remember, the A package or whatever, when I signed up to take all the systems and the letters and the idea of having a brand precede me in front of my clients and in front of my future clients, which was more important, because my current clients already knew who I was. It was the ones that didn't know me that I needed to get out there and be in front of systematically, professionally. My first year, gosh, I don't remember exact numbers, but I think my first year I went from $1.5 million to implementing the systems the first time to $3 million in a 12-month calendar year. And then 12 months after that, I jumped into the $10 million in sales and consistently stayed there for several years. Even after, I would say, our bubble burst or whatever, however you want to look at it, I still stayed in real estate full time, and I kept the systems working, and it still works for me. It still positively creates flow of future clients, current clients, love what we're bringing to the table with our brand and our image, because we also tag that onto their house.
So why do you think branding is so important?
Branding is important because it creates a avenue or a road for you to be able to put your value proposition out in front of the public, who sometimes before they even know they need a real estate agent, they'll start thinking about you. It gives you top of mind awareness in the public, whether it's through presentation in mail or a postcard, or if you're doing advertisements in magazines or newspapers, or which I haven't done in a long time because I haven't had to.
All right, so tell us a little about your brand. You've got this family orientation. How do people respond to that family first brand that you've created? And when they look at some of your marketing materials, your brochure, how do people respond to it?
At first, I used to give my brochure out like it was a business card, and jokingly with the people, they were like, well, this is not going to fit in my wallet. But the brochure basically allows people to read about me, read about my family, that I am somebody besides a real estate agent in a car with a pen and a contract. It personalizes me with people, and more so, it connects me with people that are like me, that appreciate family first situations. Working with my family in real estate has gotten easier over the years because of my personal branding, because they've been brought into it through the pictures in my brand, through social media and talking about my kids and football. It all kind of ties together after a while, and you really don't separate your personal life from your branding to your real estate.
I mean, I think that's so important for most people to understand. They're afraid that incorporating their personal life into their brand is a little bit scary for them, because it's like they almost want to keep it separate, and yet you've integrated this so well. And I think one of the great things is that now people know what to expect and who you are at a very core value level that makes it much easier for your clients to relate to you and understand who you are. So tell me, how else do you use your personal brochure, or do you have any other things that you use it consistently for that you found ways to generate business?
Oh, actually, it's a daily use. We use it to do our mailings to prospects that are coming in from out of state. We put together a nice package along with our special reports. We put that in there. We use it on Sunday open houses. Whenever I go on a listing presentation that I don't know somebody, as far as from my sphere of influence, I haven't met in person, I'll pre-send that out to them, and they'll actually read the brochure and get to know me a little bit beforehand. I always keep them in my car. You never know who you're going to run into, and to have that be a part of your day, it's an opportunity to always have it ready, so to speak.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I know you do is you use your brochure to farm expired and forced hobby owners. Tell us a little bit about how you do that.
I do use it for sale by owners. I've never been afraid to go after for sale by owners with this type of campaign. As I mentioned, when the first time I went to Gateway, I actually used the for sale by owner campaign that we obtained from our seminar without ever having the brochure. But what I noticed when I finally got my printed materials was that the rate of return got so much better. I was obtaining more listing appointments, not just putting them out in the mail. I was actually going after the appointments, able to leave with the actual listing oftentimes without having to make a second trip back to meet the people a second time to get the listing.
So now I know that you use your brochure and your special reports in a combination with forced hobby owners. So just walk us through that process.
With the for sale by owners, a lot of times by the time I get the appointment, they'll have read the brochure or the special report, and they'll start taking their houses apart based on what the information is in the report. One of the most successful ones that I have is the how to sell your home in the buyer's market. Previously, we actually got more return on that special report than when we had a report called 29 Essential Tips when it was a seller's market. It was an opportunity that the sellers are getting a level up, that they're not just getting somebody to put a sign in their yard, they're going to have somebody to actually market their house. I think one of the things about a for sale by owner is they're always financially crunched. And so when you go in with a nice marketing campaign with valuable information that helps them before they ever even meet you, you've given them something of value, it opens up a more warm interview process for the first time you meet them to being able to take the listing.
So now in farming for sale by owners, you send out serial materials. Now do you follow up with by phone? How do you actually turn that into an appointment?
Yes, we do follow up with phone calls at the end. It's basically an 8-week program that is very informative throughout the process. It's very putting your thumb on people about, I want to list your house, I want to list your house. The information is there for them to know that I'm interested in wanting to help them get their house sold. And about week 7, there is a second opportunity to give them a second special report, the 7 Insider Secrets. And oftentimes, by the time people call and ask for that, you can actually get the appointment for to come out and see their house, preview it, give them some ideas about restaging on their home. And again, it's opening communication so you can develop that relationship with that person. And when you can make that connective with that person, you're very likely to take the listing. So sometimes it goes through the whole week program without any communication. So you can turn around and do a drop-by if it's a neighborhood that you're sell a good bit in, or you can do telephone calls to them because they've got their information out there, and it's a welcome phone call. It's not a cold call.
I think that's the one thing that agents forget is that by the time they've gotten your materials, they've read through your who you are, what you're all about, your special reports, they think of you and treat you differently than just a realtor that just they don't really know and have a connection with. So tell me, I know that you...
Sometimes you
I'm
still don't
sorry.
know that. Sometimes you still only know them as an address or a tax record, but they do have 8 weeks of getting to know you. And the consistency of the 8 weeks, something that is key to point out, is that the consistency of the 8 weeks, you're able to be in front of people. They know that you're a hard worker. You're there all the time. It's very personal to them, the way the letters are written. So it's an opportunity that they feel like it's one-on-one.
All right. So now I know that you're also embraced technology. You're doing some things with for sale by owners, and now you're doing YouTube videos for all your listings. And tell us, how do people respond to your YouTube videos?
It is well received. We have some people that are conscientious, even about their houses, as much as I'm conscientious about being on videos. We have some people say, oh, you do videos, really? They're not just still pictures. And so we kind of basically encourage them that the more exposure about the house that you can receive, and the way people like to receive it, we also tag our YouTube videos with QR coding, so people don't have to go to a website to see still pictures. They can go straight into the YouTube video, and from their cell phones or their iPads or whatever, whatever technology. People want information now. They don't want to wait. So the people who want certain things about their house taken, we try to respect that. Some people are concerned, well, if I show too much about my house to the public, is there an opportunity to be broken into? And having a police background, I kind of try to appreciate that, but also, respect their concerns and do it in a tasteful, tactful way.
And once a seller sees their house on video, do they feel like you're doing a good marketing job? How do they respond to you?
They really like it. The time that they feel like a professional commercial or a professional studio is coming in to do it. David has gotten very technology savvy over the years, going from my website controller to my video animator to actually directing and cutting the videos and getting them up to YouTube for us. So the people feel like a professional job has been done. They love sharing it on their social media links. They reshare it with everybody, and they'll take it to their databases and their Facebook pages and reshare them.
So just so everybody on the line knows who David is, tell us who David is.
David is my spouse of 21 years. We met at the police department when I was a rookie police officer, and we married, and we have been married 21 years. I drug him kicking and screaming into the, no, not really. He was very much willing to help me while he was in law enforcement to do the things that were non-licensed agent, like the photography and the, back then we weren't doing videos yet, but he would do all the website and the pictures and the uploads and things like that and handle that. And that would take basically a part-time assistant's job that I didn't have to do anymore. So now he's my full-time partner. He's a qualifying broker of our company, Lucas and Associates, located in Hoover, Alabama, and he's one of the best guys I know.
All right. So he's your partner, realtor, all-around person to help you out there. And
Yes.
I do love the fact that you're using technology and always looking for the next thing forward as you're embracing YouTube. Tell me, how do you use social media?
Probably one of the most used ones that I use is Facebook. I use social media through identifying what's going on in my day, whether it's real estate or my son's football games or my workout at Combat Fitness Training Facility in Hoover. I use it to try to bring in what's going on in my day, whether it's a listing or whether it's a buyer. I try to congratulate my clients who are my Facebook friends, and then they wind up on their page congratulating me for doing a great job for them, and the gratuities go back and forth, and then all of a sudden you got somebody calling on you that you don't know because it's a link from somebody else's page. It sort of follows you.
So I love some of your posts about Combat Fitness. So tell us, what exactly is Combat Fitness, and how did you start posting about that, and how have people responded to that?
Well, David and I, for about a year now, have joined a training facility. We don't call it a gym, it's more of a training facility. And the owner and trainer is a retired special forces. So our workouts are always bringing it to the day workouts. One day we may be doing a 5K run with 100 push-ups and 100 burpees. If you know what a burpee is, you're probably laughing right now. But that all has tied into our Facebook and our people that we've been clients with and friends with for a long time. And actually has the people there at the training facility have become clients of ours as well.
So the other thing I love is that you actually do talk to your clients directly. You mention them by name on Facebook, and I think that helps build that interactivity a lot more effectively and helps them pass it along. How did you get started along that path?
You mean of using
of being willing to be open and just yourself on Facebook, because that's I mean, so many people make it Facebook about, I mean, either talk all real estate or all my personal life, and you've got such a great blend of both, and that's what I try and teach agents, and yet it seems so hard to get them to accept that. So how did you mentally get there?
Short of calling it my journal or my diary of what's going on, oftentimes I'll go off on a rant or whatever, one way or the other, and I'll get some negative feedback about it, and I'll just tell people to delete me. There's other things going on in life out there. Don't take it so seriously. But it's really whatever I'm passionate about several things in life, and I'm not afraid of sharing it on Facebook because there's other things going on. You learn a lot from other people's posts and how they connect back with you. Whether it's Alabama football, Roll Tide, or whether it's my son's Hoover football. It's what's important to me, and what I have in common with other people. They pull out a lot more out of me than I'm actually willing to share with people.
I mean, I love that interaction that you have with people that way, and that I think that they can see that, your family, your kids are truly the important things in your life. I mean, the Roll Tide does seem a little excessive to me, but that's okay. So
you have to be from the Southeast.
I guess, that is probably true. But, hey, that's why we love you anyway. So tell me, as you started growing your business, what systems does an agent need to grow their business effectively?
The first thing that's very easy, and it's a paper trail, so everybody can do this, is a daily to-do list. The system of having a responsible daily to-do, it puts out what you have to get done during the day, both personal and private, and it gives you a log and an opportunity to, if you don't get it done today, you can forward it through to tomorrow. So maybe you didn't get the phone call that you needed to make today, you put it on your top of tomorrow to handle. That is something everybody should do. My personal coach drills me on that, and I'm not always good at it. Sometimes I get started in my day and it doesn't happen. The next thing is a database. You've got to be able to have either a web-based one or a computer-based one. I personally use one called Top Producer, 8i. It's internet-based. There's another one called Exact that's great. As a matter of fact, with the Hobbs systems and letters, that works well. I actually looked into using that one. Top Producer just was already working for me. There's several other great ones out there. But the most important thing is that the database targets the calendar, and it tells you what to do, when to do it. It mail merges for you. So when I put my 15 for sale by owners in for the day, I know exactly what letter's going out to them the next week. Actually, I don't. The computer does. And all I do is print it out, sign them, stuff the envelope, and it goes out. It's all systematic.
So now, I mean, one of the things that I hear agents say is, Greg, I've started a database, and I think there's a lot of good ones out there. I mean, I think Top Producer is good. I think there's so many of them. But they seem to jump from system to system because they don't want to invest the time to either learn one or do something. So how do you get yourself to actually force yourself to spend enough time to actually be proficient at it?
Don't look at it as the whole sandwich to eat. You've got to take it a little bit at a time, one bite at a time. Take 15 minutes a day with your database. It's boring work to sit there. If you're like me and you don't like data entry and you're not a real good typer, take 15 minutes a day, adding it to it a little bit each time. And then before you know it, you'll have your whole database cleaned up. The most important thing is how you put it in, because if you put garbage in, garbage comes back out. So if you're not a very good typist, before you hit enter, make sure that what's supposed to be capitalized is capitalized so that you don't have to recorrect it every single time you go to mail someone something.
I mean, I think that's so important, and I think if agents would just take a little bit of time and make daily progress at that, it would make a huge difference for them. So tell me, as your business has grown, how do you maintain that work-life balance that is so important and keeps you sane?
I don't think I can ever be accused of being sane. I think
All right, maybe a poor choice of words on my part.
No. It's when you in this real estate business, it can consume you. It can literally. I'm a perfect example of it. You can put as many hours into it. People are around the clock information people, so that they call you at 9 p.m. If you set the expectations that if they call after and leave you a voicemail, you don't have to return a call at 9 p.m. Return it the next business day. It's what you set as an agent to set that expectation for your client. If you don't want to work weekends, pick a weekend out of the month to work that your client who has to have an open house or has to be shown on Saturday or someone who has to be shown in the evening hours, pick a time on your calendar and stick to it. Balance is far, for us, came probably long and too far coming in our career of real estate, in that last year we found that physical fitness is the key to being able to do more in your life. If you don't eat healthy, if you don't sleep properly, if you don't exercise the way you should as a person, then all of these extra hours in real estate aren't going to do you any good, because you're going to have a heart attack. Balance in our life is every morning we get up and we go to the gym and we work out 5:30 in the morning to 6:30, and some days it might be 7:30, depending on what the trainer's workout is for you. It's always different. I try to be in the office by 8:30 every day. I try to leave here by 4:30, and you can fit as much purposeful business in 8:30 to 4:30 as you can between 7 and 7, because all you're doing is filling time. But when you shorten and give yourself a short period of time, it's the old example of when you go on vacation, you list more, or you have more contracts come in, and you handle those things because you know you're going to be on vacation. Same thing in your day. If you know you're going to leave at 4:30, you're going to get stuff that you know needs to be done.
I mean, I think that's such a key thing. I mean, I think we've always heard that, work expands to fill the time allotted, and we forget that that means it shrinks to when we only give it amount of time that we do, and we just become more effective at doing the key things that we really need to get done. So tell me, when you're working with your clients, do you give them an expectation up front of what your days off are, when they can call you, stuff like that?
Absolutely. I think everybody should. I think, doctors and lawyers and bankers and everybody that's in a professional world has set hours. David uses one of the best examples I know. If you go to the bank at 7 p.m., you're going to get the night depository, or you're going to get the ATM. That's it. The banker's not going to care that you've got to have something cashed at 7 p.m. You're going to wait until the next day, and you're not going to die waiting. So if you set your expectations with your clients that you are a professional, they actually respect you a little bit more. If you slip up and you make call after call after call after 6 p.m., you now reset that expectation that it's okay to do business after hours.
So you try and avoid calling your clients after hours as well?
I do, because they're in their family life and their family time. One of my friends, Scott, on Facebook, said the other day, if I text you, don't call me. text them back. And that's, I think, with all the extra technology that we're coming into today with voicemails and technology of emails and instant messagings and videos and things like that, you have so much at your hand that can save you so much more time. If it's faster and easier and does just the same job to send somebody a text, then answer and reply in a text. And I try to get my clients' preferred form of communication as well, because they may not want to text. They may not have a phone that texts if they're an older couple or somebody not as familiar with technology. So I'll ask them, how do they prefer? Maybe email's their preference because their email follows them onto their cell phone. So we try to set up showings and return feedback and all that stuff by those preferred communications.
I mean, I think that's so valuable in today's marketplace to realize that you need to respond to your clients in their form of communication, but also set guidelines that are effective and allow open communication. Now, along this path, Peggy, for a while you sort of turned your attention to being a manager, and so many realtors, especially as they're getting their business up and running, and suddenly they think, you know, I'm doing well, maybe I should manage people. So tell me, what's your experience and what did you learn from being a real estate manager?
What did I learn from being a real estate manager? That I didn't want to do it. I, for a brief period of time, was the qualifying broker for a company, and we did very good at growing that office the first year that it was open, and I missed selling. I love being in front of my clients and with my customers to show them houses, and that's what I love, and I have a passion and a drive to do. The behind the scenes of running and operating an office, my husband does really, really well at, and so that's his, that's what he does really well, and I don't even get in it at all, pretty much. He handles all the coaching, the books, everything. What I learned about managing is that it did make me a better realtor when I stepped back from managing, because I was having to look at multiple real estate agents, and they all have different styles and needs, wants from their broker, and sometimes you had to wear different hats with each individual person, and that actually taught me to communicate with my clients better for learning different personality types. So instead of me trying to strong arm somebody into 110 miles an hour like I do, I try to adjust myself to meet my clients' needs the way I used to try to adjust my overbearing personality maybe sometimes with agents that I was managing.
Now, one of the things that I know that when I made the transition from a real estate agent to a manager, I was shocked at how much work that a manager actually has to do. And it gave me a whole new appreciation for my broker and what they actually brought to the table, because I thought for sure before that they were just taking my money and doing nothing. So
oh, yeah.
Did you have a similar experience? Or?
Oh, yes, yes. I when I was the broker, qualifying broker and team leader, I didn't realize you open the doors, you meet and greet everybody, you meet with your office staff and have to work and coordinate and do the billing and the processing, what to do, what not to do. And then you've got a door knock coming in and somebody over here needs you because, wait a minute, I'm doing the bills over here. And then, you know, there is a lot to being a qualifying broker of an office. And, you know, if you're not naturally cut out for that type of position, or you don't have the background, the college career, or the experience of running multiple different personalities, it's like having Sybil in your head 8 hours, 10, 12 hours a day.
All right, well, that's a great way to look at it. I think a lot of brokers would appreciate that. So now, I know that you and David eventually decided to open up your own real estate company. So what made you decide that you wanted to open up your own real estate organization, and what's your philosophy behind that?
the fact that we opened our own brokerage after my statements I just made was that it I want everyone to realize I am not the qualifying broker. Um, David runs the office on the day-to-day. I do my personal marketing, and our agents and our associates in our office each have their own business that they run and operate. Tammy Hallman has one of the top-notch campaigns running for her. She's in the office every day. She and I act more as colleagues as opposed to broker-owner relationships. I share my experiences with the agents as they need whatnot. But we opened our brokerage because today's market calls for changes that other companies were not, in my personal experience, what I needed at the time. Agents today are individuals that need what today's market calls for, not 10, 15, 20 years ago, real estate brokeraging. And we try to do with our agents one-on-one coaching weekly, individualize their needs and their ad campaign or their personal brochures, working on it, whether they're going to a seminar, whether their goal is $1 million or $10 million. We're trying to be a unique company that helps each individual agent grow to their specific goals.
So, I mean, one of the things I really like about what you and David are doing is that you look at each one of the people within your office as unique individuals and help them find a vision for what they want to accomplish in real estate, and then help facilitate that, and don't have any particular, gosh, this is the way we want you to be. And I think that, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of the things that David tries to bring to the table with all of our agents is to build their unique value proposition and to be able to put it out to the public, like whether it's a brochure campaign or whether somebody doesn't have a full-blown campaign, be able to put it into prospect, for them to be able to prospect their business at the level that they want to commit to. They may not feel comfortable with a full-blown campaign out there working for them because they don't want to do 10 million. Our company is gearing for the individual who comes in and sits down with David and has their annual goal plans to say, hey, David, coach, whatever hat he's wearing at the moment, this is what I've got on my plate. This is what I want it to get to. How do I fill it up? How we create for them or with them in partnership to be able to bring their business to fruition.
All right. So as a top producing agent, what wisdom do you try and instill into your agents?
Goodness. That there's always another day. If you don't get it done today, you don't have to work late into the hours to try to make it happen. Put it on the to-do list, make it happen the next day. I try to also encourage our agents to have lives outside of real estate, whether they want to volunteer or whether they've got other goals, other side businesses that they want that are a natural fit for real estate, that real estate is not the only thing, that they can build a type of business that will facilitate them to have other interests. Like I said, my first several years in real estate, even after I got my campaign, because the campaign exploded my business, literally, and jumping a 12 calendar month from 3 million to 10 million, I didn't have an assistant yet, so that sort of consumed me until I got to the point where I had more organization with delegating certain things in my day. And then I got back to more normal hours again. That is what we're trying to share with agents, is that, you know, they have to have a big enough why to want to do this business in real estate.
So tell me, are you afraid that the agents in your office, since you really do take this personal approach to them, you're helping them build their own personal brand, are you afraid that they're going to leave you? Or if they did leave you, would you feel like you had been taken advantage of?
I know that there are two schools of thought on that with different people. For myself personally, I would take it as a compliment that they grew their business at our company, and that hopefully with the systems and the fellowship that we've had within a company, that they grew their business to the point where they now can go and open up their own business. I would hope that they would always look at it as a good basis of growing their business. I don't think that people, I think when you hold things too close to you, you can't grow. And if somebody comes into this company, Tammy Hallman, for instance, I'm going to use her because she has a very dynamic marketing campaign that's very, very successful for her. She and her husband, Mario, they do it very well. We have a company, though, that it's all about the agents. The financials are all about the agents. We give them the umbrella of being able to practice here, the support, the coaching, training, and we have a very small overhead that they don't have to go out and open up their own company. They can grow their brand, do whatever they want to with it, because that's going to grow them as a person, as a professional. If she went out tomorrow and said, Peggy, we're opening up our own office, I'd throw a party for her because I know that she's that good.
All right. I mean, that's such a different perspective than most brokers who are so afraid of, gosh, if I really help an agent build their own brand, they're going to leave me, or I don't want them to, become my competitor down the road. What do you think got you to that mental mind frame?
As far as being an agent within a large brokerage, I was there. I was one of 1,100 in a company. I loved that company. It was where I was a baby agent. I stayed there 7 years, very happy and content. It wasn't me leaving the company. I didn't leave the company for negativity. I actually was at a point in my career that I was growing in a different direction than what that company's philosophy was. And I went to a different company, and I grew 5 more years with that individual company and learned a great deal from them. Still co-op sales with agents from both of those companies. I didn't leave slamming a door, I hope. I got to a point in my career that my personal practice and my value proposition for what I wanted to offer my clients was not invented in this city. And so David and I decided to open up Lucas and Associates.
And I think that's such a great thing to understand, in that you live your values at a core level, not only as an agent, but as a broker, in everything. And if agents would realize that if you truly do live your values, you'll not only be more successful, you'll be happier, you'll enjoy life a lot more, and that makes such a huge difference. So I know this is Tammy Hallman that you were talking about, and you've helped her grow from a new agent to just an unbelievably successful agent out there. As you think about your relationship with Tammy, how do you characterize it? I mean, you sort of mentioned that you're more of a colleague than anything else, but I mean, to me, Tammy's added a huge dimension to your life and a great example for many brokers and agents to build that working relationship based on communication.
That's pretty much it. Tammy is a very dynamic individual. She's lived in California. She grew up here in Alabama, and her husband Mario have a wonderful practice together. We look at them as friends, as opposed to agents in our company. Although she is an associate in our company, I just feel that the relationship, as much as you have to have relationships with your clients to want them to use your services, Tammy, in this essence, is very similar in that we like Tammy as a person. She was David's call coordinator at his office before we opened up Lucas and Associates, and she went to David and said she wanted to get her license, and she's just been phenomenal ever since year one. She's coached with David, and she's her own agent. She's her own person. Her style, her personal branding campaign, the people that she relates to, you know, we talk every day in the office about how do we make things bigger. You should see her office. It's just phenomenal, the space that she has here. She is truly the professional that we want to share with every agent out there.
All right. So I have a question. How do you keep yourself motivated moving forward, even with all the changes in real estate, the ups and downs in the marketplaces? How do you keep yourself sort of on track?
Oh, man. I guess I could classify myself as a marketing junkie. I love this stuff. I really do. And that's one of the hardest things for me is that David, when I very first started, you know, he would have to call me out of the office when we had a place set up at home for a home office because I was having fun with it. And that's really what it's about. It's what's keeping me motivated is there's never anything 2 days the same. It's constantly different. I love change. You, for instance, constantly push me out of my comfort zone. And, you know, I'm now getting used to living in uncomfortable situations.
All right. All right.
But it's about staying on the cutting edge as well. I mean, you get tired by doing the same things over and over again. And, you know, we joke about how many times that we've been to Gateway over the years. And we always say, no, Peggy's not a slow learner. I'm not. It's about learning what's new. I'm so excited to be going to the December Gateway. I can't wait. I'm just wanting to bum rush November through so I can get out there and see which more new things you've got to teach us. And the little snippet that you shared with me the other day, let's just erase November and go straight to December.
All right. Well, I do want to let people know you are going to be at Las Vegas, and that's going to be December 4th through 6th in Las Vegas. We've got some great re-audit prices for those of you that have been before. We'd love to have you come back.
Yes.
I want to open it up to questions right now, and I really want to thank you for sharing your insights, your thoughts with us. If you have a question for Peggy, please go to the control panel and type it in, and we will see what we can say on it. I have a couple people saying that your volume needs to go up.
Mine?
Yes, but unfortunately, I don't think that we have control over your volume. I hear you really loud, but so if you have questions for Peggy about how she can, what she's done, how she can help you in building your business, please go ahead and type them in there, and Peggy would love to share her thoughts and insights with you that way. And shoot, there was a question, and I just accidentally deleted it. So please retype the last question in, whoever it was. And if you have any other questions, please go ahead and type them in. So tell me, what do you see yourself for the next 12 months? What's your goals for 2013?
Well, we actually have one goal left for the rest of 2012. On December 2nd, we're going to go to Las Vegas early, and David and I are running our first half marathon on December 2nd.
All right.
We're going to celebrate his birthday on the 3rd, and then we're going to come and hang out with you guys on the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we're going to end the year with a bang. Our goals are to do the right thing by our clients, really, to be honest with you. If somebody out there just wants a number goal for me, I would love to close $10 million next year. In our area, I don't know if, I know that a lot of agents here may be from different parts of the country, but our average sale price here right now is about $180,000. Some people may say that's a little lofty of a goal for the economy that we're sharing in, but with the systems and tools we have in place, that's what our shoot is.
All right. Scott Van has a question for you. He says, what percentage of your personal gross sales are spent on your marketing campaign?
Oh my goodness. I don't want to not answer that question, but I'm going to divert that to David at some point. What the question is, again, I can't read it, Greg.
It's what percentage of your gross sales gross income do you spend on marketing?
For marketing. I would probably say 20%.
For marketing?
For marketing in our, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About 20 to 25%.
All right. So the next question is, Did you develop the 8-week FSBO campaign, or did Hobbs Herder develop it?
I don't do anything. Hobbs Herder does 100% down to the printing of our stuff, except our yard signs. We do those locally. But you did design them.
All right. All right. So the question also says, was your brochure your creation, or did Hobbs Herder create it? And you already answered that as well. So the great thing is we love creating things for you, Peggy. The next question is, what is the singular real estate activity you practice as a consistent discipline that produces the best results in your business? I always hate that question. What's the single best thing?
Basically showing up every day. I mean, I talk to so many agents that they don't go to work every day, and I'm like, well, what do you do with your time? And then they complain that they don't have any business, or they didn't close at the end of the year what they wanted. Really, the single best thing I can say is I come to work every day to work. The second best thing, if I had to say, is that I try to stay in the flow of communication with my sphere of influence, my past clients specifically.
All right. So the next question is, what tips can you provide regarding your expertise from growing from 3 million to 10 million in 1 year? How do you survive that?
Systems have to be put in place. Everything down to how your folders are organized has to be put into place. And these are things that I developed over the years, trial and error kind of way. But the systems has to be down to your daily to-dos. How much time are you going to spend in putting for sale by owners, and how much time are you going to spend talking with your sphere of influence on the phone? How do you organize your afternoons to do your showings or your listing appointments, and to have some sense of consistency? I guess that's probably the only place I don't like having something not to change it. I like that to be the same.
All right. The next question is, how long after you started your Hobbs Herder marketing campaign with power cards and brochures did you start getting business from them?
Immediately. I actually drug my feet. I know, Greg, you know this, but I drug my feet about my photography. During my development of my campaign, it took actually 12 months because of me, because I was self-conscious. Yeah, it did. So I will say that in that year, I got my database together. From the time I spoke first time with my writer to the actual printing, I doubled my income because of the letters and the systems. That first year, I actually did a lot of for sale by owner business.
And then once you got your campaign in, that took you from the $3 to $10 million mark. I tell people, and this is one of the things that I am always amazed at, is that agents get so self-conscious about their pictures. And I want you to know, none of us like our pictures, so we just have to do it and go on. And if we can sort of understand that, it's okay. All right. Peggy, as a 12-year veteran agent and new to Hobbs Herder family, what do you recommend I do to get into the Hobbs Herder groove?
To get in the groove, come to December Gateway. And whoever's asking that, you can send me an email later on. I'll be glad to tell you why you need to be there in December, because it rocks.
So, Peggy, what is your email address?
It is my name. It's peggy@peggylucas.com.
All right, so that's a fairly simple one. And it says, the next question is just a reminder to everyone in the Gateway Media Planning Service. On the last page, there's an agent organizational chart that goes hand in hand with everything Peggy talked about. As a new agent that is providing the most useful, thank you. And that's from Holly Bano. All right. Thank you, Holly. The next question is, how do you calm your clients' fears about exposing their home on YouTube?
How do I, okay. Again, having been a police officer, we try to take our clients' personal safety first and foremost, and they've read that we were police officers in our brochures, so they know that. We talk about making sure that the house is safe. Matter of fact, I had to have a talk with a client yesterday. She has this big butcher block of knives on her countertop, and I told her, I said, we got to put that away. But it's all about personal safety, and especially in today's economic trend, there's a lot of things going on. People's houses get broken into, things like that. We do use the Super Key, and it is a wonderful tool that logs everybody in and out of the houses as far as that aspect goes. And we talk openly if there's ever anything missing in their house about the proper way to report those kind of things, both to myself and to law enforcement.
So now, do you ever compare the fact that, you know, the pictures on the MLS probably give the same information to a person as a video?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest concerns for a seller is that they think that the layout of the house is going to be given away in a YouTube video, that if I'm walking through the house, they know exactly how to get into the home, what's where, you know, in and out kind of thing. And I tell them pretty much that they're reading a little too much into this, that the way David handles the video, it's done very professionally. It's not just a walkthrough, here it is. We did that at first initially, but again, it's trial and error, and you improve over time.
All right. The next question is the 20% of your marketing based on your 20% of your personal gross income or the company gross income?
Oh, personal. I don't touch anything company dollar for myself. I'm an agent in this company. I am not, yeah, no, it's totally my own.
Okay, so you're basically an agent working for David from all practical stands. David, I want you to know Peggy is your now employee.
Oh.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. You did say he was the responsible broker, right?
Yes, yes.
So I just
but
isn't that what that means?
You got to remember that behind, what is it? Oh, I forget it. I can't remember. I can't remember jokes.
Behind every good man, there's a better woman.
No, I was going to say the man controls the head, but the woman controls the neck, or something like that. I'd tell him which way to turn.
All right. So the next question is, what type of campaign do you use with your sphere of influence? And it says, I know there's a past campaign with Hobbs Herder, but I'm struggling with a sphere campaign.
Right. It's a combination of things that we have from Gateway and also from Larry Kendall's Ninja. We try to change it up a little bit each year because they are a sphere of influence, so you don't want to redo the same thing next year to these people. It combines everything from holiday cards to telephone personal calls to form letters that might go out to everybody all at the same time. Something about this going on in the local market, something that might be going on in our own community. Just try to pre-plan it out early so it becomes a system.
All right. The next question is, Peggy, when did you join a Hobbs Herder marketing plan, and how many years did it take before you really started to see your business go up?
I went to my first seminar. I believe I was 9 months into the industry and killing myself hour-wise for the money I was making. But a 18 months period, I guess, into the industry by the time I got my first marketing campaign. And that, again, it was almost an immediacy coming home because there's so much information you get at the Gateway that you can come straight home and implement and put it on your company logo. If you've got a personal logo that you're using right now, implement those letters and put them on those, and you can have an immediate effect. If you strictly go by just a mail campaign, as far as drop everything that you currently do and swap over, I've talked to friends, Jay Canone, who's shared with me that it took him a lot longer than it did me. My husband actually helped me a lot in that he took my brochures to work. He was a police officer at the time, and he'd give it out to everybody, people that he saw, not people in the community, but people at work, people that asked him about real estate, knowing that I was in real estate. So we had a lot of the police officers' business pretty much because of the connection David had. All
right. Peggy, the next question says, you said that you mail your letters, not email. Does snail mail have more advantages?
Yes. people delete emails almost instantaneously, and one of the things Greg taught us at Gateway is it takes them a few seconds to at least walk back to their trash can. And you're in front of people a little bit longer. The letters, as far as the for sale by owner campaign go, it is something that's tangible. It's in their hand. I've had examples that I've shared in the past that I've had people that I go to listing appointments with that may have used somebody else, and then they came back to me after the listing expired or it didn't sell, and they hand me everything that they've kept over the time. I went to a listing appointment yesterday, and I have a a handwritten thank you note that I send out to people, and she actually still had that handwritten note as I was sitting there with my interview.
All right, Peggy, the next question says, where do you get your for sale by owner list from?
I like to still do it the old way. I just basically keep a journal or a piece of paper in my car with me as I'm riding around the areas that I sell predominantly in and I'm checking on my current listings. I write down the for sale by owners that way. I do always cross-reference to make sure that they're not listed with somebody already as far as a limited service or anything, and then they go right into my campaign. I pull their data and their information from past sales or the tax records and get their name information if I don't have it on a flyer sheet and put them right into the system, dear Mr. and Mrs.
All right. So the next question is really not a question. It's from Tracy Hopkins, and she says, thank you, Peggy, for sharing your experiences. The next question is, what companies did Peggy work with before she opened her own office?
I was with an independent company called Realty South for my first 7 years, and then I was with Keller Williams Realty for 5 additional years before we opened Lucas & Associate 3 years ago.
All right. The next question is, do you require or encourage your agents to go to Hobbs further?
You know, when I was with another company, as the broker of that company, I tried to encourage agents to get higher education away from the city that they're within. And I would share my experience with Hobbs Herder. But there are other companies out there that you can go to. Obviously, I can't speak on those because I don't have any personal experience. I just know what worked for me. And I think, yes, this is my 15th year in real estate. I've probably been to Gateway or the Mega Management seminar, I think 18 or 19 times now. And the reason is because you, Greg, as a trainer, as a facilitator of a 3-day seminar, are so inviting, and so you let us interact with one another at the gateways so much. We learn from one another. I have a wonderful business of referrals from agents across the company that I've stayed in touch with and made at least Facebook and telephone communications with, friendships.
All right. Well, thank you for that. The next question, Peggy, is how many people do you have on your sphere of influence list?
My sphere of influence, I would probably say 375 people that I would consider. I could pick up the phone, call them, and say, "Hi, it's Peggy," instead of "It's Peggy Lucas with Lucas and Associates." That I stay in touch with on a periodical basis.
All right. The next question is, what percentage of time do you spend on marketing versus real estate transactions?
Not as much as I would like to. This past summer has been a very big blessing for me, both in opening up our new location. We just got settled in about 2 weeks ago. And we were also blessed through our website, Greg. I know I've shared this story with you. Our website this year has afforded us to, from one person, lead into 10 additional transactions from one contact that led initially from our website. Our business, I've closed as much right now as I did all of last year. It's one of those things that you try to stay on top of all the time as far as being able to identify where your business comes from, whether it's your website or your marketing pieces. The For Sale by Owner campaign, I try not to let take up too much time because I can go out and drive around all day long, but if I don't bring all that information back and put it into the computer, it's trash. essentially. So you've got to document how much time you're putting into each aspect of it, whether it's the getting the brochure out versus for sale by owners, expireds, your sphere of influence, or if you've got a full day of showing houses or going out taking listings, you need to make up a certain amount of time each month.
All right, Peggy, the next question is, at what point do you actually phone a for sale by owner?
At the end, we're going to try something a little different at the beginning of the year and try to do a week 4 call to them and just try to do a quality control call to them. It's still not going to be something that we're going to ask for the listing or for the appointment. We may ask, I'm trying to work on some things that I want to cross with them on the phone call, maybe do a unsolicited market analysis for them, free of course, if they're interested in it at that point.
And Peggy, just like I tell people at the Gateway, when I wrote the for sale by owner campaign, my original for sale by owner campaign actually had agents calling starting in week 2, and I couldn't get agents to do the calls. What I found is when I wrote the campaign so that at the end, hopefully some of the people would call the agent, and the agent could now call knowing they built a relationship over 8 weeks, and it made it a much warmer call. I found agents were much more effective to call, and I think that sometimes we forget that the biggest challenge of doing things consistently is that when we put a call into our system, it does require us to take that extra step, but I do think that adding things in can be very good as long as you're consistent with it effectively.
Right. And we have people call us anywhere from week 1 to week 8 and weeks afterwards even. If you get somebody that has been on the market for some time, when you first drop them into the system and they get all of your materials, your brochure, and we always do our letters on our house flyer because that's another opportunity for us to brand and identify ourselves so they don't just get stationary. It's a reiteration of who we are again, or who I am again. And we've had people call in week 1 that say, we want to interview you, we're considering agents, come on out. And we just dropped them off the list at that point because we've got it already.
All right. The next question is, how many agents do you have?
There are 9 of us here.
So you have 9 agents, and are you planning on growing more?
Our ideal model is about 20 real estate agents here in the office because we do one-on-one communicate with our agents and weekly coaching calls. I'm sorry, not coaching calls, but coaching sessions with each of our agents, and we're implementing a twice-a-month group coaching session that allows them all to come into the room at the same time and discuss what they've got going on, what's working for them, whether it's branding and marketing or troubleshoot contracts. We don't do the typical weekly sales meeting. We don't do that here.
I mean, I think that's part of your culture, and the fact that you have such an open communication between your agents, and there's such a, I hate to say a family atmosphere because it's not really a family atmosphere because it's professional, but there's a genuine caring and liking between everybody in your organization.
Well, and that's something that we've realized is that, one of the things we wanted to put out in our website was that we wanted the website to reflect to the consumer real estate agent as well, because the buyers and sellers are individuals that we're working with, but also real estate agents have to have that individuality in the community within the office as well, because what I do may not be what Tammy Hallman may want to do, or Shannon, or Penny. It's an opportunity to still be connective, but individual.
All right, Peggy. Faith Harper, and she may be in your marketplace, says, awesome interview, Peggy. Peggy is well thought of in the Birmingham marketplace, very transparent and always willing to share. So she says thank you. The next question is, how does she identify where her business comes from?
Basically, when you get to a point where you have comfort zones, places that you've done several sales with, they can become your cherry picking community that you want to do for sale by owners in. Is that the direction of the question? I don't know if that's I'm answering it the way they want it answered.
And I don't know either, so maybe the person can clarify it a little bit more. So I think it's a little hard to interpret some of them that way. The next question is, I recently attended the Gateway. I'm in the process of having my brochures made. They probably won't be ready until January. What advice would you give to me as what I can do in the meantime to begin to increase my sales volume?
To increase your sales volume, I would encourage you, if you haven't already done it, if you've been to the Gateway and you don't have the letters in the system, whether it's the for sale by owner program or the 8-day expired program or your sphere of influence letters, or getting your first mailing with your brochures ready to go. Greg always encourages us to twice a year mail out 2 brochures to your sphere of influence. Get your database cleaned up. Make sure that your sphere of influence is still at the address. Nobody likes to send out and, oh no, somebody sold their house and you didn't even know it. But that's an opportunity for you to have it all clean. It'll be ready to go, and it gives you purpose for what you're doing between now and the time the marketing pieces get to you.
All right. And Peggy, I see that it's 9:15, and I know that you've got to run, so I'm going to unfortunately have to cut the questions off here, or I think we could be here all day. But I want to thank you very much for your willingness to share, and I think your willingness to always share your personal story, what you're doing, has been such an inspiration to so many agents over all this time. And you've shared your email address, so if anybody has any other direct questions, send them to me, send them to Peggy. And thank you very much for being here, and look forward to seeing you in Vegas next month. And I hope that 2013 is absolutely a fabulous year for you.
Thanks for having me, Greg. I've really enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you, Peggy. Have a great day.